Greetings, dear friends. Every day we analyze the situation on the front lines, review maps, examine advancements, and discuss the prospects of what various movements may lead to. Therefore, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all developments and advances. Today we will talk about the Russian armed forces' entry into the Chernihiv region, the new incursion into the Kharkiv region that took place yesterday, the situation in Kupiansk, and, in my opinion, the most significant event, the attempt to break through to Toretsk's rear from the direction of Chasiv Yar. We will discuss why this is important, how critical it is, and what it might lead to. Now let's move on to the map and examine the situation on the front lines. Let's briefly go over the Russian forces' advances in the Chernihiv and Kharkiv regions before shifting to more strategically significant directions. Chernihiv region. Here's the map of the Chernihiv region. Over the past 2 days, the Russian armed forces have taken control of 3 settlements: Muravyi, Novoselivka, and Kolos. Additionally, there was an advance toward the settlement of Hermiakh, but it could not be fully captured. Kharkiv region. There was also a new entry into the Kharkiv region from the north, around Sotnitsky Kazachok, which has now fallen under Russian control. Naturally, the question arises, what does this signify? Is it a new front or direction in the Kharkiv and Chernihiv regions, or just a diversionary maneuver? Looking at the map, the answer seems clear. These 3 villages are located near Chernihiv city. Does the General Staff plan to capture Chernihiv? Clearly not. Objectively, Russia first needs to regain full control over the Kursk region. Additionally, active advancements are ongoing in Donbass, and a new offensive is starting in the Zaporizhzhia region. A Chernihiv offensive does not seem to be a priority right now. Strategic context. The primary goal appears to be exploiting the Ukrainian armed forces' critical shortage of infantry, which is widely acknowledged. These new pressure points aim to stretch Ukraine's already limited reserves even thinner, making it easier for Russia to advance in other areas. Kupiansk. The same strategy is evident in Kupiansk. Russian forces have entered the left bank part of the city, taking control of the feed mill and nearly half of the sugar refinery. They have reached Dzerzhinsky Street, effectively entering the central part of left bank Kupiansk. As a result, Ukrainian forces are urgently redirecting reserves from surrounding settlements, even those just 2 to 5 kilometers away, to counterattack. This redeployment negatively impacts their capabilities in other sections of the front. Toretsk. Now let's discuss what I believe to be the most important strategic development: the breakthrough south of Chasiv Yar, which has significant implications for creating a potential encirclement of Toretsk. Currently, 70% of Toretsk is under Russian control, a situation that has remained unchanged for a month. Ukrainian forces launched a counter-offensive to push Russian units out of the high-rise area, Zabalka district, achieving limited success. Meanwhile, Russian forces attacked the city's central areas and recorded some gains. However, beyond these localized skirmishes, there has been no significant progress in the past month. The recent breakthrough south of Chasiv Yar is highly significant, with the potential to create a Toretsk pocket. Let's examine this area more closely. Key terrain and progress. The Siversky-Donetsk-Donbass Canal served as a natural defensive line for the Ukrainian armed forces, with elevated positions on the far side providing a vantage point to control both the canal and the territory beyond it. For Russian forces, crossing the canal under such conditions was extremely challenging. Nevertheless, a breakthrough was achieved across a broad front, spanning several kilometers rather than just meters. Most of the heights in this area are now under Russian control, paving the way for further advances. Strategic objectives. The next phase of this advance will likely target the rear of the Ukrainian group in Toretsk. We will now examine the broader implications of this movement and its possible outcomes. Look, from the point of breakthrough, Russian forces will move toward 2 settlements, Oleksandrivka Shultin and Bila Hora. From there, it's just 7 to 8 kilometers to Toretsk. However, the main goal isn't physically entering Toretsk from the north, but cutting off the roads. If Russian forces capture Oleksandrivka Shultin, they will sever one of the roads supplying the Toretsk grouping of the Ukrainian armed forces. The ultimate target, however, is the settlements of Ivanivsky and Pleshchivka. As you can see, 2 main supply lines converge there. Both a railway and a highway. Cutting them off would completely isolate the Ukrainian armed forces in Toretsk from supplies, creating a new encirclement, leaving Toretsk operationally surrounded with disrupted logistics. This is why this advance deserves close attention, which we will continue to provide. Zaporizhzhia direction. In the Zaporizhzhia region, firepower continues to be applied to Ukrainian positions near Kurakhove and Kupiansk. While a swift Russian offensive hasn't yet begun, everyone is anticipating it. Whether this is a diversion or preparation for a larger Zaporizhzhia offensive remains to be seen. Kurakhove direction. In the Kurakhove direction, FAB bombs have hit targets along Suki Yali ravine. Advancements are taking place near Yelizavetivka, with flanks being reinforced in the nearby forested areas. Similar actions to secure logistics and control wooded areas are happening near Novoselivka, toward Berestki. According to pro-Ukrainian sources, Ukrainian forces are still holding positions in Sotnitska Berezka, but will likely need to retreat soon. The situation is complicated by Ukrainian command not reporting setbacks up the chain, which could lead to a sudden realization that Kurakhove and Uspanivka are under Russian control, as reported by media outlets. Drone use and advances. The Ukrainian armed forces are actively using drones to maintain their positions. However, Russian forces are advancing. In Toretsk, progress in the city's central part is marked in bright red on the map, particularly near Mine No. 1 and No. 2 and the Avangard Stadium area. Russia also controls part of the settlement of Dakhny. Footage shows Ukrainian forces attempting counterattacks in the forest near the slag heap of Valyuga mine. Russian forces have reportedly advanced to this area as well. Chasiv Yar developments. In Chasiv Yar, video evidence has emerged, geolocating Russian forces' control over large swaths of territory. Likely, the grey zone is also under Russian control. One video shows a Ukrainian drone entering a building, indicating Russian soldiers are present there. Additional drone footage confirms Russian advances and shows a massive strike on the northern part of the settlement. The visuals are reminiscent of those seen before the capture of Vuhledar, with large volumes of ammunition being used against Ukrainian positions. Recent reports also indicate Ukrainian firefighting units were redeployed from Toretsk to counter Russian flanking maneuvers in this area, further suggesting challenges for Ukrainian forces. Kupiansk direction. Following heavy artillery strikes, Russian assault groups entered and secured positions at the Kupiansk sugar refinery, bringing in reinforcements to continue their assault. Ukrainian forces are trying to dislodge the Russian paratroopers with intense bombardments, including the use of FPV drones. Zhizhra. Contested footage of surrender. Disputed footage allegedly shows Russian assault troops surrendering. The footage has been geolocated far from the sugar refinery and other initial entry points. If a plan was to advance, this small group wouldn't have gone so far without artillery or drone support. Reports state the sugar refinery is under Russian control, with Russian forces securing initial positions and awaiting reinforcements, not recklessly advancing into central Kupiansk. The footage shows a man raising his hands while Ukrainian soldiers search others, allegedly Russian troops. However, details raise doubts. The focus is unclear, and visible Ukrainian troops are standing in the open, unbothered by potential threats nearby. If they believed Russian troops were present, they wouldn't act so casually. While oddities can occur in war, the confirmed fact is that Russian forces have breached and consolidated positions. Aerial combat. Spectacular footage shows a Russian Kar-52M Alligator helicopter shooting an air-to-air missile at a Ukrainian drone. In areas lacking air defense, helicopters were deployed to counter drones. Footage from local residents shows the helicopter likely intercepting drones heading toward Moscow.